Coming up in today's episode of Circle Back.
Yeah, I think this is a real thing. And usually, when there's this much smoke, there is some fire. It's just proving where and how the fire started.
Can't believe like I know people like the typical sources and some of the outrage of like people just want to yell to the clouds over ESPN or get mad at anything here. But yeah, this is I got 3 12-inch TVs on the wall that
it's you know what?
This is a cell phone, Jason. That's a cell phone.
How do you manage this conundrum here?
I give up Tuesday and Wednesday night football for them, and then occasionally Friday night football.
Defend yourself, Knish, because you were very wrong about Micah Parsons.
That came out of my mouth. It hit me like that wasn't really what I was going. I think there was a time in the Cowboys' heyday where he was kind of in like an Al Davis disciple of like was way ahead of the curve. In some of the stuff they did with the Cowboys back in like the 90s. And then, in the last 20 years or so, it's kind of fallen off the rocker. So,
disclaimer: the content presented in this show is intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any individuals or organizations mentioned. Statements made about public figures or entities are based on publicly available information and are not intended to harm or defame any person or business. This show relies on fair use of social media posts, which are presented in good faith for the purpose of commentary and criticism. Viewers and listeners are advised to form their own opinions.
Circle Back here on the Circles Off channel. It's part of the Hammer Betting Network, and it's presented by Kalshi. This is the show where we cover the latest and the greatest stories on gambling Twitter and sports Twitter. Today, we're going to be joined alongside by Joey Knish, of course, who's always here on the Friday show. Chris Dierkes right below me. And then the fourth chair today will be Mr. Chinamaniac. China, happy to have you on the show. How's it going?
Everything's going great. 2 Mountain Dews in. I'm ready to go. Electric episode coming up here.
Buzzing off the Mountain Dews. And as people can see, if you're watching on the video below my name, I don't take vacation. Because Jacob's not here today. I'm filling in for him. Hopefully he's having fun on his fourth vacation.
Did you take a vacation time off last week and there's no Tuesday show? I mean, what
well, I'm not on the Tuesday show, so technically I didn't take the vacation, right? It was the Tuesday crew that took the vacation, not me. I was happy to fill in, but no one else wanted to work. So what am I supposed to do? How about this comment section? Let me know if you want a show done just by myself. Maybe we'll see if we can make that happen next holiday weekend. Anyways, Knish, you want that? Are you a fan of that or no?
I'm a fan. I mean, it sounds like we should name it the Hammer Daily and have it coming out every day. So yeah, I could see it.
There we go. Thank you for the promo. For those who don't know, this episode's releasing on Friday. Today is the inaugural episode of the Hammer Daily at noon Eastern time over on the Hammer HQ YouTube channel. You can find that link in the description. You can check me out. We're talking sports. All kinds of sports. Talk with a bunch of people, 4 guests per episode. It's going to be great. Knish is going to be joining me throughout the week as well. I think Chris a couple times. It'll be great. Great stuff. Anyways, let's dive into the show because enough dilly-dallying here. We have like some of what feels like the biggest and most exciting sports news of the entire offseason, coming out right before the start of football season. It's comes from Pablo Torre finds out his podcast, and he dropped an absolute whopper of an exclusive news piece here. He said Kawhi Leonard signed a $28 million endorsement deal for a no-show job with a fraudulent tree planting company funded by $50 million from Clippers owner Steve Ballmer, according to documents obtained by Pablo Torre. It was to circumvent the salary cap, an insider source says. There's a lot to cover here, and I really recommend, if you haven't watched this episode of Pablo Torre Finds Out, you should do it because there is a lot of context needed. I'll try and layer in some, but initial thoughts on this where we have potentially an owner using an outsized resource to circumvent the cap. Knish, we'll start with you. Do you have any thoughts on this? Have you watched the episode and are you fully caught up with what's happening here?
I've seen some things. I've seen Cuban's response. I would say it probably was some type of incentivized procedure of we're going to get you an endorsement deal type of this. Is it a gray area like that they're in terms of actual cap circumvention? Probably. I would think this, like from a strategy perspective, we can be like, oh, we've got this company where, we'll invest in you. He didn't do any. That's probably the more of like the red flag, the guilties. He did absolutely nothing for it. But is this that different from, Phil Knight, recruiting players to Oregon, then, signing them to Nike and, for a minute? I don't know. It definitely is what I would call questionable, and I'm sure the NBA will look into it. Also kind of love, Pablo Torre is on a heater in terms of investigative journalism. So I love kind of what he's doing here, but I just don't know how you prove without a shadow of a doubt that this was like salary cap circumvention. Even though from an outside looking in, it definitely appears it has those tea leaves.
Yeah, absolutely. And Pablo Torre, he has on his desk in the episode like thousands and thousands of papers that he's like scanned through to try and find any information from these documents, because the company that they're talking about is a company that actually filed for bankruptcy. So a lot of I believe that's what happened, and a lot of their stuff went public. So he was able to scan through all this stuff, connect some dots, and it eventually connected Kawhi Leonard to this organization and Steve Ballmer to the organization as well. Flop, do you have any opinion on this? Like, do you think that this is a common occurrence that we don't really see? Because we've seen plenty of players take, let's call it discounts to either stay with teams or move teams. Like most recently, we saw a lot of people shocked about the Jalen Brunson signing with your New York Knicks that you're wearing right there. And they were like, hey, that's like a lot less than he would have made. So I wonder maybe if something was happening there. Any thoughts on this?
Honestly, my first thoughts were this felt like it was a reach, and like lots of the public wants to dunk on like a billionaire because they're not very popular by the common people. And then I see like Mark Cuban defending it, and it seems a little weak. And everyone has incentives. Like Mark Cuban obviously wants Ballmer to not do this because it looks poorly on NBA ownership, which he's a part of. And then the public wants it to be because like it kind of goes with the narrative that the league is rigged and it's funny and it's interesting from that point of view. I kind of lean towards what Joey is right now. It from the outside looking in, it looks like it is salary circumvention. Mm-hmm. And I recall the Minnesota Timberwolves did something about this, I think a couple decades ago, where they promised that they said if the one player signed a 1-year deal and he re-signed for a substantial amount more, they would Larry Bird's write him and give him over the cap. Mm-hmm. And that league found out and fined multiple first-round picks for this. Yeah. So it has happened before, and there hasn't fines given out before. Now proving it, like Knish said, is going to be very difficult because I don't think Ballmer is that stupid to make it this obvious. But if it took this amount of investigation journalism, maybe it was this hard, and maybe the guy Pablo just did a great job. So it's been very interesting to see this. We'll wait and see what goes on.
Yeah, and I believe the player you're referencing was Joe Smith, who signed 3 years, 1-year contracts for 3 years that are really low AAV, and ended up signing that to get that bird right secured. I believe the fine for it was the Timberwolves. You said it was 5 first-round picks, essentially sent them to the shadow realm for the next couple of years. And yeah, like the biggest piece of evidence here from this, from the Pablo Torre video and release was that he was able to get an accountant who worked within the company to kind of share what happened. And that's where the smoking gun is for this story. I quickly want to, China, before I throw to you, I want to just quickly bring this up from the Los Angeles Clippers. He reached out to the Los Angeles Clippers. He said for a statement, and the Clippers organization said neither Mr. Ballmer nor the Clippers circumvented the cap or engaged in any misconduct related to Aspiration, which is the company in question. Any contrary assertion is provably false. So I think that's going to be the problem there, is proving this to be true. It's going to be very, very tough. I also wanted to bring this up as well. Pablo, ever since Bill said he wasn't a real journalism, absolutely locking in. China, what do you make of this story? Like, are you as invested as we are in this? Is like, do you think this is a real thing? Do you think there's a smoking gun here? Or is this just kind of no chance?
I think this is
prove anything's going to happen.
Yeah, I think this is a real thing. And usually, when there's this much smoke, there is some fire. It's just proving where and how the fire started. I just don't understand why I understand why teams want to get a competitive advantage and they'll do everything they can to do it. But when these franchises are worth hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, and these owners are worth billions of dollars, just pay the contract and go over the cap and pay whatever the luxury taxes are. I just don't understand why they don't just do that. It's almost like when you see these professional athletes who have hundreds of millions of dollars and they hand it off to somebody blindly and they just do something dumb and they wind up broke. It's just I don't understand why they try to do this stuff and get away with this type of stuff.
So, China, you might not know this, but there's an obvious reason why they're doing it. The NBA has, in my opinion, a very bad rule that you're only allowed to pay players a certain percentage of the salary cap. I think this number, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong here, was 30% for Kawhi Leonard. So the contract that Kawhi signed with the Clippers is capped at 30% of the salary cap. So Ballmer could go over the cap, could pay him, and that's what he did. And he paid that. But Kawhi wants more as an incentive to join the Clippers as opposed to a team like the Lakers or the Spurs or any of these other teams. So he pays him outside, which is against league rules, and that's how he gains his competitive advantage. It's not that he's doing this to not pay fines or avoid fines or anything like that. He's doing it because it's against league rules, and it incentivizes him, Kawhi, to sign with the Clippers. And I think this rule that caps player value is really problematic because we're in a universe where when Wemby signed a Supermax, it's going to be, I think, the same amount that Cade Cunningham signs. And I mean, I'm not saying Cade is a bad player, but I'm saying that Wemby is worth significantly more than him, and they're capped at getting paid the same. And if you're the Pistons, you have to pay Cade, but if you're the Spurs, you also have to pay Wemby, and you're getting a much better deal on Wemby. They shouldn't have this cap. Pay players whatever they're worth, and pull a hard cap. It would make the league much more competitive. And then if you see anyone doing stuff like this, I think 5 first rounds for what the Timberwolves did for Joe Smith is excellent. Make it brutalizing if it comes out. That just it decentivizes them from doing it at all.
Yeah, and I also find it ironic that the country that it was like built on capitalism is like one of the only major the major sports within that country loves their hard cap, loves the equality between these teams, where they don't want one owner to reign over all. You were going to say something, Fluff? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think hard caps are really good for a league because it now makes the league very competitive. Like this is look, in baseball, in my opinion, it's stupid. I mean, has there ever been a World Series winner with a bottom half in spending? I don't even know. Like
KC Royals.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think there's been some Rays team or maybe a Marlins team in there, but
you know, I think it's like 80% or like a top 5 spender or something. Like it's just obscene. That's just
you get the European football example where you have each major league only has a few big clubs that spend everything. A lot of the teams lose money, so people don't want them. It becomes like an uninvestable product. That's more of like a than it does. So I agree. I think even in the capitalist America, the hard cap makes a lot of sense in terms of just the league viability.
I mean, look at the NFL. Even the Browns or the Titans, which are bottom dwellers right now, in 4 years, both of those teams could be Super Bowl contenders, and it wouldn't surprise me. I can't say that about like a bottom 4 team in the MLB. If they don't spend the money, they're just not going to win. They're not going to be competitive. Mm-hmm. So I think the hard cap is a beautiful thing, and it makes the league very competitive and very good. And capping players is problematic because if you just basically bink a lottery pick, that's how you win, which is kind of stupid. It should be about like organizing how you spend your capital, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Let's circle back this conversation to the the accusations themselves. I want to ask all you guys this question because we had a discussion about this in office yesterday when this news dropped. What would be fair? What would be a fair punishment if this stuff was, let's say, not provably true, but there's reasonable doubt that maybe I don't know what the best way to put it is, but like if it lays in the gray area, we can't prove it's true, we can't prove it's provably false. What would be a fair punishment? We discussed that like the amount of money that they paid Kawhi Leonard should be fined, the amount of money that Ballmer paid should be fined, and then somewhere in the area of 3 first-round picks, so like kind of in that middle area. So let's go with $50 million and fine to the owner and 3 first round picks. Is that too crazy? Is that too much? Flup, we'll start with you because I can see you shaking your head.
Well, I thought I didn't realize you're going to add the 3 first rounders. The fine of Ballmer is whatever. He's worth
Yeah, it
almost
doesn't
$50
matter.
million.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's part of the reason you do it, right? Like,
yeah,
fund
he would
the
probably pay-
WNBA.
he would probably pay a $500 million fine if it meant no first round picks. He doesn't
Yeah.
care about that money. The first round picks is more interesting. And when you say not provable, I don't like punishing because what if he just got unlucky and was in a bad situation? So if you can't prove it, I wouldn't punish it. If it's not provable, I wouldn't punish it. If it's like, okay, it's 60% likely that he did something, but you're not 100%, sure, then you can punish like with one first runner. But it was just like you think maybe he did, but you're not 100% and you have a suspicion, then I wouldn't do it. But if you're like, you can put a percentage on it and say, yep, he did it. He did at least something sketchy or did at least something for certain. Then I think a first rounder, maybe two first is a reasonable. And if you can prove he did it, 5 first minimum, maybe even 10. Just send them so
in 10. Just for a decade.
You cannot have this happen. It kills the league. You cannot have this.
Knish, what are your thoughts on that? You think you agree with that 3 first? Like let's say, Flup, you gave a great example, 60-40. Like as it feels right now, based on the information that I've looked at, I'm more leaning towards the side that this is true than it is false. So let's go with 60-40 true to false. Knish, if that's the case, do you think whatever amount of dollars fine, $50 million plus 3 first round picks, is that too harsh if that's what the league conclusion is?
No, I think you're actually on with that. I think it would be a massive fine and then a few first rounders, and then maybe they come up with some, I don't know, salary stuff that they can't do, or they can't exceed whatever apron, as to so they throw in a few other additional stipulations. But again, I think you're going to have, unless you have kind of somebody from the inside that's willing to basically roll on Ballmer here, it's going to be very, very tough to say this was like objectively 100% true that he did that. So we'll see what happens. But I just think it's going to be tough to say without a shadow of a doubt that this was. But maybe, I don't know if again, the NBA isn't a court of law. So if enough owners want to hold Ballmer to the stake over this and pressure Silver in the front office, they might punish him anyway.
Yeah. But also, it's interesting because Ballmer is obviously the most powerful of all. I don't know about powerful, but definitely the richest of all the NBA owners. So you would think that he has some form of power and sway within the league, and that's maybe not someone you want to lead the wrong way. China, you want to weigh in here? Do you think where I kind of land with it being $50 million, 3 first round picks on a 60% chance that they did try and circumvent the cap? Do you think that's fair?
I think whatever the fine was, what you said for Joe Smith, it should exceed that because there's already a precedent and people already know what they should be expecting in a situation like this. So at the end of the day, I would there's going to be no gray area. They're going to conduct a massive investigation, and it's either going to be yes or it's going to be no. And if it is yes, they're going to get the book thrown at them, and they deserve it.
I agree with that. It's also, again, like the biggest piece of information coming from this Pablo Torre story is that one person who worked for the company and was inside and was in their accounting office and kind of revealed everything. So if they're willing to talk to the NBA, who knows what's going to happen. Maybe they get like a little duffel bag on their front door saying, hey, don't talk about this to anyone else. Anyways, before we move on, a couple more tweets that I wanted to mention here because of course, it's pretty interesting to see a guy get a no-show job, but I don't think the Clippers have realized they've been paying Kawhi Leonard all this time to also have a no-show job, $50 million a year to be exact, and that's exactly how much they're paying for Kawhi Leonard. So that on top of the $25 million, a lot of money not to show up at all. And then also, this is what we mentioned earlier, the Mark Cuban message, or Mark Cuban tweet at Pablo Torre, which just kind of talking about how this happens a lot of times in sports where owners invest in companies and then those companies then do brand deals with players on those teams. But again, there's a little bit more nuance here as we discussed further. And then careful what you say on the internet because someone quote tweeted Mark Cuban's tweet and says, Mark doesn't want anyone to question what happened with Dirk Nowitzki from 2014 to 2016. Dirk signed a 3-year deal. I think it was like $25 million-ish when he could have gotten around a 3-year deal, $90 million if he signed elsewhere. So little interesting stuff there. Maybe that's why Mark Cuban's really against this stuff. And then also finally a little bonus thing right before we went live. Mark Cuban tweeted at Pablo Torre asking to join his podcast. Or sorry, Pablo Torre asked Cuban to join his podcast. Mark Cuban ended up joining. They talked for almost 3 hours. It was very interesting to see. But let's move on to the next topic because it's time for football season. And listen, we talked about this topic. I think it was a month ago. I was on the show with Knish and Chris, and I forget who the fourth person was, but here we are. We talked about Redzone going to ESPN, and of course, they found a way to mess it up because, according to Dove Clayman, Scott Hansen confirms that NFL Redzone will now have full commercials this season, not just overlay ads. He says the new intro will be 7 hours of Redzone football starts now instead of 7 hours of commercial-free football starts now. What happened to the sport we love? China, I'll let you start with this. I know you're a big football guy. So how do you consume football? Do you often watch a lot of Redzone, or is this like not even affecting your process and what you're viewing?
Not affecting me whatsoever. I'm in the minority. I am not a Redzone guy. I do not enjoy it. I would rather watch one game and just, see how the game flow goes, see how everything unfolds. I want to see all the key situations. Just nonstop scoring to me is too frenetic. And I think with the commercials, why can't they just integrate the commercials into the broadcast? Maybe pop them up, show a commercial. Well, they have a couple of boxes with action going on at the same time. But if they're going to full-fledged commercials, I think for the hardcore Redzone guys, this is going to water the product down a lot.
So they actually are not going to full-fledged commercials, as per Ari Marial. I probably should have mentioned this earlier. Ads are coming to NFL Redzone. Here's more detail. They will appear in a double box format. Viewers will be able to hear the ad the ad audio while Redzone continues to run in the other box. The plan is to space out limited number of ads throughout the 7 hours stretch, per Richard Deitch on Twitter. The NFL says this has been contemplated and tested over a year and has nothing to do with ESPN.
This does not seem that bad at all. If it's
No.
this is okay. If it was full-fledged over a year,
right.
that would be way worse. But this is, look, it's gonna be annoying that you can't hear, but like it's whatever. If it's, you can still see.
Yeah. I can't believe like I know people like the typical sources and some of the outrage of like people just want to yell to the clouds over ESPN or get mad at anything here, but the fact that it's going to be in a double box, you're still going to be seeing what's happening on the thing, just not hearing the audio. I don't think this is and people were, I tweeted earlier today, people were, in the comments getting salty about it, but I don't think this is a big deal at all. I agree. If it was a full, 2 minutes where you don't see anything and then they got to catch you back up, they don't have to do that. It's basically, it's not a total overlay where you can still hear Hanson, but I can still see what's happening on the television. So this to me is a whole bunch of thing over nothing. And I think the program will be totally fine. So, and people just want to again, it was maybe NFL, with the whole ESPN deal, getting it over there, kind of, nice little, well, this has nothing to do with ESPN, but the cat's already out of the bag. Everybody's dunking on ESPN. The league gets a free pass here. So, I'm a Redzone guy, but this is like people yelling the sky is falling, and it's a minor inconvenience.
Of course. Go ahead.
I'm actually more on China's side here. I typically like to watch the Jets get brutalized in the first half, and then I'll turn on Redzone in the second half and get tilted. But I really like watching one game and then maybe Redzone on another screen. And I don't even have Redzone on always. This won't affect me too much.
Okay. Well, I feel like that's the correct take to have. And Knish, of course, as per usual, you are in the wrong here. As per at Coley Mick on Twitter, he mentioned the correct Redzone take is that if you watch Redzone, you actually don't like football. Thank you. And you're welcome, which I fully agree with. It's 2025 now. If you're watching football on one TV, the 1 o'clock slate, what the hell are you doing? Get multiple TVs. You can get a couple TVs for like $200 a pop. And if you're betting on the games, you want to watch all the games. It's very, very easy to do. Insert the meme of the worst person just made a great point, because Jared Smith on Twitter said, if you're upset about commercials on Redzone, it probably means you haven't figured out how to create your own Octobox, which also means you don't know ball and I don't have time for you. Very easy to create your own Octobox. I will say, though, this TV setup is absolutely horrendous.
How are you watching anything on this?
No,
I don't know the people who got like 8, 10, like this would scramble my brain into like 8 different pieces here. Maybe that's a me problem, but there's no way I can focus on anything that's going on here. It's just my eyes would be darting everywhere. I'd have a migraine by like 1:30. So yeah, I don't know. The people that do these setups, I can't do it. I'm like a 2 TV guy max.
Yeah, well, this is also a 2 TV thing because it's just Octobox.
It's just Octobox with 2 TVs.
But
I mean, come on.
If you really know ball, you know to put your TVs side by side. Also, the way he's hung it up here, I mean, they're not even in line, which is like throwing my brain for a loop. So I don't know about that one. This is almost as bad as my TV setup that I used to have earlier last season. So that was
this is I got 3 12-inch TVs on the wall that
it's you know what? It's
this is a self-owned, Jason. That's a self-owned.
I have. Here's the thing. I haven't updated setup, and I'm happy to share it with you guys. In fact, I want the viewers to share their TV setups for NFL Sundays for the 1 o'clock slate. You can tweet us at CirclesOffHQ, #CircleBack. I want to see how you guys do your setup because I have a new setup now. I think it looks great. You can find it on Twitter. You can find it on the Circles Off Twitter account. Just remember, go follow us if you're there as well. This is a lot for us on socials at CirclesOffHQ, #CircleBack if you want to get in on the conversation. I've kind of glossed over this now, but I mean, hey, it's Friday. That means Thursday night football was played, and football is so back. And we can see Spanky, who has been in this gambling racket for over 25 years. And for him, the excitement at the start of the football season never gets old. I know for one, I'm personally excited, hoping to have a fun football season. Flup, as a former winner of Circa Survivor last year, how excited are you for football season to be back?
I'm very excited because that means I can play Survivor again, as well as watch the NFL, both 2 of my favorite things. And I'm hoping to see the Eagles dominate the Cowboys this year. Got a little Eagles spread, and I'm probably going to be using them for Survivor. So hopefully it goes well for me, and you're watching the show thinking, wow, Flup is a genius as usual.
Perfect. I also have Eagles in Survivor as well. Hopefully I'm not in a corner crying with my only 2 entries gone because the Eagles lost.
Well, how about them Cowboys after they got rid of that bum Parsons? Nothing would make me happier than a week 1 upset. So I love to see it. Love to see you 2 on the other side. But I will say, just from again, I'm more of a college guy than an NFL guy, but this is the time of year, from a selfish perspective, where like people that have given me accounts in the past follow up. You know, I'm hearing from the PPH book that even though we love Kalshi, hearing from some people that everybody's coming out of the woodwork at this time of year. So it's a good business time of year. I will say that.
Yeah, things are very busy, and as Sleeper HQ tweeted out on their account, thank you. It's a meme. Thank you for saving my life, and it's the NFL logo. It's just I'm literally just a football league. China, I know you bet on football quite a bit. Are you a fan of the NFL being back, or is this just a signal of like, oh shit, time for everything to ramp up, time to get busy now?
Yeah, I'm with Knish here. I'm more of a college football guy, and I love watching all the big, good primetime games every week. But every year that I get busier and busier and busier as a professional bettor, I don't look forward to it as much as I used to. Just over the last 10 days, I feel like I want to put my head in a fucking vice. So I don't know. That's where I'm at. I'm excited it's back. The weather's getting good, but again, that just means more and more and more work. So
yeah,
that's where I stand.
Yeah, and the best part is more and more work. And as the years go on, you tend to get more and more down, and that's where Kalshi is coming into play here, as we see for the Friday night football game, Kansas City at the Los Angeles Chargers. $1.5 million in volume already right now. Games at 60-40, favorite towards Kansas City here. Knish, you got to play for us. What's going on?
The week, which is no longer widely available.
Okay.
Chargers plus 3.5 juiced. I think I got it at minus 115. Favorite play of week 1, which you probably can't get as of this recording. So I'm gonna pass post that one. But
okay, Steve Fezzik.
There's I released that to clients over the weekend, but yeah, I don't know. There's some cheap 3s out there, and I would say they're live, baby.
All right, I love it. I'm just trying to see if I can find it on Kalshi right now. What did you say? The 3.5?
They have 3.5, but it's a -131. So
Yeah,
Mm,
that's
just a little bit more expensive than
a
minus.
little steep.
Well, I mean, does price even
Give
matter
or
if you
take
have a winner?
16 cents. That doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things,
Right.
right?
If you have you don't pay juice on the winners. You only pay it on the
Yeah.
losers.
yeah.
Price,
But
Perfectly said.
yeah, price doesn't matter if you're just making predictions anyways. You're not
Exactly.
gambling. So
Yeah,
There we
right.
go.
I don't. Why did I even include the price? Hey, plus 3.5. It's a winner. Take it up to -180.
all right, you can find all those markets over on Kalshi. And a quick reminder.
Jason, do you have the how much liquidity you can bet right now? Because I think that's rather than looking at the total volume, 1.5 million is very impressive. I think they have like hundreds of thousands of liquidity, which is just like crazy good.
Yeah, if I knew how to find that, I would find that for you, Chris.
I
Maybe you
will
can
look it
find
up.
that for me because unfortunately, I cannot find that. I'm very green to using Kalshi because, of course, can't use it.
Yeah,
in
so I mean, I'm
Ontario,
looking
but
at it. You can bet right now. Yeah, you can bet 100K basically on either side right now, which show at a 1 cent straddle, which shows you how liquid the market is, and it's very impressive that they're able to do that.
of course, and that's for the Friday football game. And I'm sure closer to game day as we get, it'll be increased even more as we get closer. And a reminder, of course, if you want to do that, if you want to bet 100K on Kalshi, you can do it right now. All you have to do is click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. If you use that link or if you scan that QR code, it helps support the show. So if you're planning on betting on Kalshi, if you want thin margins, if you want high liquidity, Kalshi is the place to go for that. Reminder, click the link in the description at any point throughout the show, or if you're watching on YouTube, scan that little QR code in the bottom right corner. It'll take you right there, and you're doing a big favor by doing us a big favor, by helping support the show. All right, let's stick with it. It's almost like a football themed episode because we're talking a little bit about player props, and this next topic comes from Big Buck Hunter, and he's talking about player props in 2025. He was listening to a podcast, Establish the Run podcast, who, listen, I'm a fan of. I think they make great content. If you listen to them for player props, it's a different story. I think if you like fantasy and those things and just enjoy football, I think they're a good listen. But he says, listening to the latest Establish the Run podcast about how to beat NFL player props in 2025. And he said, sounds like I will need to wait until Saturday for limits to go up, and most of my action will be on FanDuel. Very good, very relevant information for 2025. And of course, for those who don't know, was Big Buck Hunter being facetious? Of course he was, with the response yes, coming from him there. What are your thoughts on, Establish the Run is kind of a tout service, I guess they are a tout service, but they also do a bunch of other content as well. They kind of fall into a gray area for me. They make good content, I would argue, outside of their tout service. Chris, you seemed like you had an opinion on this to begin with as you were laughing as I was reading it. So maybe
I didn't know you included the part where he's clearly being sarcastic, because I was reading some of the comments and they thought, like, people were like, wow, great. Thanks, Henry. And I was like, he's being sarcastic. Like, doing that, like waiting till Saturday for limits to go up is suicide. Like, I don't know what you're thinking. So I found it very funny. I think Established Run is very good. I use them for their fantasy services, but I would never recommend paying for a tout service. I don't care who they are. I wouldn't do it. And as Henry's joking about, if you're waiting till Saturday and you're only betting player props on FanDuel, you're probably doing something wrong. Earlier in the week is always better if you can get your size that you're willing to. And if you can't get your size, well, you probably don't need to listen to me.
Yeah, fair enough. Also, like, if you use them for fantasy, I would probably ask for a refund based on the fantasy team you drafted for our Hammer Fantasy League. That was just I feel bad for them because that's a terrible endorsement on their part. If anyone's seen your fantasy league, our fantasy team in our league, China, any thoughts on, Established to Run's take on this, and Big Buck Hunter saying maybe it's not the best to wait till Saturday for limits to go up and bet strictly on FanDuel?
yeah, it's not the best strategy for the high majority of people. Like, we've been betting this stuff for the past 3 days, getting decent fills. But I will say this: the The biggest NFL prop better that I know waits until Sunday, and he bets on FanDuel at noon, an hour before kickoff.
Mhm.
So, but there's only so many of those guys that are out there that can do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
but do
you got to
not
get your
listen and
fills
try to do
during the
that
week.
like China. If you're trying to do that, you're going to get crushed. Like China's talking about exclusively the best.
Yeah, fair enough. Knish, do you fall in line with the best? Are you sitting there on Saturday waiting for the limits to go all the way
Yeah, I
up?
mean, not China's talking about me. He didn't want to. I mean, I'm blushing over here, but he didn't want to say the name. But I mean, listen, I agree with like Buck Hunter. The NFL. There was a time, and I know China will know what I'm doing, where you could literally blanket. I'm going to call it. It's probably over 5 years ago now, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. You could just bet under on every fucking prop every week and make money. Like that's how inefficient the prop market was in night and day from 7, 8, 10 years ago to today, where I mean the NFL prop market, people used to be like, oh, props easy, if to beat. Now the NFL market specifically, especially when you get in the weekend, I'm not going to say it's as sharp as NFL sides and totals, but it is no longer an easy plug to just log in and spam unders or any of that stuff. So as a lot of different factors, the game has changed significantly.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's about it there from the established to run prop discussion. But we'll go from we'll call them, don't want to call all tout services bad, but an okay tout service to a really bad one. We have Henry Locke's Picks on Twitter with hilarious logic because he's advertising his tout service. He said, these NFL props all hit in week 1 last season. They're going to hit again this week. I mean, using last year's data against different teams, some of these players with different coaches, different coordinators, different situations, injuries a factor, all those sorts of things. I mean, how dumb can we be with these things? Like this is some of like the nut low content on gambling Twitter. Chris, go ahead.
Especially in for this Thursday night game. I mean, has the Cowboys changed anything part of their defense? I mean, like nothing really matters.
Yeah,
you can just take the last year's stats. It's no big deal.
It's crazy. Yeah, that seems like to be what he's implying. And one of the players he mentioned was Baker Mayfield. I wonder if anything's changed from last year. Maybe, I don't know, a receiving core, left tackle, new offensive coordinator. Seems like maybe it's probably the same situation. But maybe that's like some information that many people don't know about unless you went to a certain seminar somewhere. And then you know how important that certain stuff is. I mean, like, when you see this stuff on Twitter, China, do you like kind of like audibly gag at it and laugh at it, or is this just something you just mute and move on?
Yeah, just kind of mute and move on. Maybe I'll take a quick poke at it just to laugh, but he's probably got 1 million views on this tweet, if I had to guess. And at the end of the day, yeah, whatever happened last year, week 1, it doesn't matter. Last week's data matters. The week before's data matters. The week before that's data matters. None of this matters, but I'm sure this guy got a shitload of views out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe he has I think it was something along the lines of 200,000 followers too. So if that's what it takes to be to get 200,000 followers, I guess I'm doing Twitter completely wrong here. Knish, are you tailing these props at all or no?
I mean, I don't think these are going to get you paid after day, but apparently that it can get you a bunch of followers. That's if that's what the goal is, then you can do that. What's my guy? The Sal Vitri trends. That's all you gotta do, baby. Lay out 10 meaningless trends in a row in a thread every day, and before you know, you'll have 100K followers.
Yeah, and doing a little digging on his account, it looks like just like honestly one of those AI slop accounts where his Twitter picture is an AI image. Every single graphic he tweets out is an AI image. It's just slop on slop on slop. So, but hey, he seems to be earning off it. So good for him. But if you ever come across him on Twitter and you're thinking maybe I should buy his stuff, I would probably lean towards not buying his stuff there. Could not be AI slop. Maybe he's making all this stuff himself. But yeah, that's what I see. That's what I might be wrong. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Again, more touts, and you can have your opinion on touts if you want, but this one is coming from bdunk975 in a now deleted tweet. He says, I know it isn't easy, but make yourself a goal of winning $50 to $100 a day and withdraw it, that 50 or 100, and put it away. Do that for a whole year, and you'll have $18,000 or $36,000 if you save 100. Set goals and do everything to reach them. I mean, if only it was this simple. Knish, tell me why I don't just set my goal to make $10,000 a day, set it aside for a year, and I can retire for life.
I mean, that's you know, if you can get that variance, winning and losing out of there, and just have winners every day to set them up. I mean, this is a fine strategy for like budgeting. You know, if you work like a normal job and you put away, 50 a day or whatever that equals in your paycheck every Friday or every, Friday, like, if you're Joey corporate and you want to put away. This, no joke, is when I was first starting out and trying to, supplement my bankroll. I did something along those lines of take out a percentage to kind of like build the bankroll along with betting. But in terms of like actually betting, then you, especially if you have this idea in your head that you need to have a certain amount per day, that's going to lead you to like, oh, I'm down 200. I need to be 100 to stay on schedule. I'm going to chase. I'm going to bet this. I'm going to bet this. This is just like classic, like kindergarten level, thought process here as to how to go about it. But from actual budgeting standpoint, okay. From sports betting, never how it's going to work.
Yeah, it's crazy that he's telling us to, just win. It's as easy as that. Just win every day, $50 to $100, and you can save it all up. I find it funny that he deleted his tweet. DKDFS tried to get him with the hashtag circle back on the response, but in response to deleting the tweet, and he ended up blocking DKDFS. So it seemed like he didn't want to be dunked on, but be dunked. He just got dunked on by Joey K. Any more thoughts here from Chris or China?
Yeah, this reminds me of the people that used to come into the casino and play poker. We'd be in a 20-40 limit game with 6 of the worst players ever, and then you'd have like some guy come in and be like, all right, I won my $800, so it's time to go home. Meanwhile, there's a table of fish just sitting there. It's like, you just got to get the money when it's good, and that's it. Like, I don't know, like, pretty bad tweet.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is they missed the variance part of it. Like, I remember on Circles Off, Bet Stamp Johnny, he had a really thing is like, you look at the EV you generate per day, not the actual money. And that's what I try to look. I track how much EV I generate every day, and the traders. That's what you should try to be increasing. Now, and even that, it's hard to get to a set amount because sometimes the market's better for you, sometimes it's not. Like, there's going to be, even in an NFL season, week 3 versus week 4, I might make different amounts than expected value because like the markets are different situations. But if all you want is that number to go up as much as possible, and don't worry about the actual results because the results will follow eventually. Yeah,
no, that's a great way to put things, and a great way to cap off that little tweet there. Finally, we're leaving off. We're going to leave the touts behind, but we're going to talk about another, let's call it a big story here, because we've seen it a couple of times on Twitter, on Instagram. Drake has been posting a ton about Kalshi over almost the past year, and Danny Funt here on Twitter at Danny Funt is kind of making his claim on it and commenting on it. He said, incredibly tacky that Drake posts his gigantic bet slips. Incredibly shady that Stake almost certainly free rolls those bets, i.e. he's not risking his own money. And incredibly lame that the media breathlessly covers Drake's bets, promoting Stake and reckless gambling in the process. I love the sentiment here, and this comes off the back of Drake betting on the U.S. Open, which is happening this weekend. The finals are happening this weekend. Yannick Sinner to win the U.S. Open, staking $300,000 at stake over there. But do you guys agree with this sentiment? Because a little bit of investigative research, DJ Academics, who isn't the best investigative reporter, but he's pretty in tune with the rap industry, mentioned that Drake has is getting paid $180 million to be sponsored by Stake, to have Stake in his bio, and to appear on one Twitch stream every month to promote Stake. So I wonder if he's being free rolled here as well as getting paid that money. I feel like probably not, but maybe he is. Who knows? How do you guys feel about Drake and the promotion of Stake, using him as a promotion vehicle for Stake and the media covering it? Knish, we'll start with you.
I mean, this is basically like, Portnoy with DraftKings there, where even if they're not free rolling his bets, they're giving, I mean, just when I look up, you said 180, either way, like $100 million a year for the sponsorship. Even if you're not free rolling them, that you're giving the guy $100 million a year. So what does he need? Like, if he's out there posting, $50, $100K $1 million bets, that, like, it doesn't even matter. He loses, he could lose, whatever, go 45% on the year. He's still going to net, even if he's down 10, 20, $30 million betting on the site, they're still going to net him 60, $70 million. So it's one of those that, I mean, whether they're free rolling his bets or not, they're paying him so much money for the deal that it's like the guy, unless he's like, I don't know, going Michael Jordan style, like how could he even lose that much gambling on their site?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just one of those, like, it's a great deal if you can get it. I'll put it that way.
Absolutely. And we'll take a look at some of his losses. Drake shared this, I think it was in early June, just his past month in wagering, past fortnight, past week in wagering. And he said, got to share the other side of gambling. Losses are so fried right now. I can hope I can post a big winner for you all soon, because I'm the only one that has ever seen him max. These guys max once a week. I mean, that's basically nonsense. But the moral of the story here is that the big thing is how much he's lost within that month of $8 million. And if he has $180 million deal, I mean, he can happily lose $8 million in a month. Chris, any final opinions on Drake here? Or is that
I think people that post gigantic bet slips, especially for people that are like sponsored and or people that barbarians represent, are ridiculous. I hate these people.
It's always a red flag.
Yeah, especially I'm just waiting to see when. Actually, I'm not even going to say this. When Drake Engel shoots steak and then complains about it on Twitter after. But I guess that might not happen for Drake, because I don't think he's smart enough to angle shoot and take advantage of markets like that. Speaking of taking advantage of markets and trying to be an advantage gambler, Flop, this one hits. This next topic hits home for you here. Advantage gambler has to be up there for the highest paying low status job, low status in quotations. This tweet is a quote tweet from what's the lowest paying high status job and the highest paying low status job. It's interesting because Flop, that wasn't meant to be a dunk on you, because you used to work in the financial field, and you're a big Wall Street guy, like very high status job, also made a good amount, but you ended up saying, no, I'm going to leave that all behind. I'm going to bet on sports, and I'm going to win betting on sports. And I mean, the status change is definitely a big hit, but I can imagine the monetary change was probably the whole reason why you did it. So maybe if you want to share a little bit about that.
That's true. It's very funny because I just had an experience this past weekend. I was out with a vacation with my wife, and so was talking with this old lady, and they're like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "I'm a professional gambler." She turned to me like, "Are you serious?" And like, you could tell like she thought less of me as a person because like I'm a professional gambler, which is like, honestly, at this point, I don't really care. And a lot of my family members thought I was crazy quitting such a great job. I mean, who wouldn't want a job working for like a family office and whatnot? But for me, it was all about the money. Yeah, you get paid nicely, but a lot less than I think people think. And it's a lot more hours. You need to work many years to get to a point where you can make a lot. And it's not even guaranteed. Where, for me, sports right now, I thought this was kind of like a gold rush. We're in the early era of sports gambling in the United States, and you can make a significant amount of money. And I'm hoping to capitalize on that. So hopefully I don't need to work anymore after a few years. And then I can get maybe a high status job if I really want to do anything with my life. Yeah,
fair enough. China, I know you've been a poker player for a long time, and then you switched over, started betting on sports as well. What's your opinion on, like, I guess, job status? Is that something that like you've dealt with before, or I'm sure you have when dealing with other parents or colleagues or friends, when you're meeting new people at an event? Like, is that something you have to deal with? One sec. Go ahead.
All right, yeah. Prior to being a poker player, I mean, I was a cook in a restaurant for about 10 years. So like, I don't know, I had no other choice. It was just like, I'm doing this or I'm going to be able to do nothing. But at the end of the day, you meet people, you tell them what they do, and they look at you like you're Worm from Rounders. I mean, that's what people picture in their heads when you say, hey, yeah, I'm a professional gambler. It's like nobody believes it. It's I don't know, it's pretty incredible.
It's pretty crazy, but it's also like almost better. The less people that believe it, less people know that it's a thing, kind of leaves a little bit more room for you. Leaves room for everyone at the table to eat, because the more people add to the table, the harder it is to eat. Knish, you don't have to come across as a professional gambler. You don't have to tell people that, because you're a corporate Knish over there. Is that the mask you wear at venues? Does your girlfriend know what you do on the side or no?
I'm still contributing productively to society, unlike our other panelists here, and helping, move the world forward. But I will say, one, it's just an area a lot of people don't understand. And when you try and explain, it's very tedious and annoying to explain it to people that like don't really like understand. Then they want to ask questions, but they still don't get it. And so it's like this long form, especially like girls I've dated when they've explained it. And it's like, oh my God, it's like, I don't know, it gives me a fucking headache. Whereas I'm pulling out my internet due here, but like I don't really like talking about it unless it's somebody that's in the industry. Like we like talking about it here, you know, where people that talking about where if it's like some normie that's like, you know, when I've told people that I've worked with the corporate job in the past, like some of the things I've been like my boss right now who makes, more than like $250,000 a year and plus bonus, he bets like $5 a game. Like that's it. Like that's the kind of like risk profile that you're getting from people is like these people, you know, they could be making hundreds of thousands in the corporate world. But you talk about a bet for them that's more than like $20. It's like what, like when I'm talking about, like, oh, you know, I had, 180K in risk liquidity over the weekend, or like I'll, flip bet. That's like, one bet people be like, oh, but it's like, oh, that is, anything. So it's a little hard to get past with normal people.
Yeah, fair enough. It's very tough to deal with, and also like it's hilarious that that's the kind of brand of people who exists where they make so much money and their risk tolerance is so low with that stuff. I always hate to see that. Like I have friends who bet dollars on games and like will be spamming my chats, freaking about every single play. I'm like, my brother in Christ, you have $1 on the game. Like, is that really that much of an added value for you? If it is, fine, so be it. But for me, that really wouldn't be, doing much. It's $1 Canadian too, which is like 30 cents American. So anyways, last little thing before we get into your comments. Reminder, if you want to get in on the show, you can comment below on YouTube. We'll get to those comments a little bit later, or you can join the conversation. Hashtag circle back if you see a tweet that you want us to talk about, you want us to mention on the show. Hashtag circle back. We scroll through every single week. We're always looking at the hashtag. If you think we should talk about anything, we want you to be part of the show. So do it. Tweet us hashtag circle back. We'll talk about it here on the show. Last thing we want to get into before the comment section, then the chopping block, is a little bit of a life pro tip. We're in football season now. We're in the swing of things. College football all day Saturday, NFL all day Sunday. We're gonna be entering NBA season soon, NHL season soon, and there's a lot of time on the weekend that we want to spend in front of a TV. Us guys who like betting on sports or just watching sports in general. This comes from Sharp Clark NFL. He said, life pro tip for married men in football with wives and partners who are not into football. Pick college football or NFL, enjoy it fully, and give the other day, Saturday or Sunday, fully to your partner. Go on a hike, have a spa day, get brunch, hang out with the kids, whatever. Could not recommend more. I'm going to throw to you, China, for this one because you have a partner, you have kids. How do you manage these weekends?
Yeah, he's pretty spot on here. I mean, if you do this 7 days a week, it will cause some strain on your relationship. So the way I manage it is I work until 5, 6 o'clock every day. I go home every day. Saturday, I'm in the office. I'm watching a little football. Sunday, I kind of just don't watch the NFL as much anymore because I can't. I have to put that time into my family. And I know if I don't, then my family's gonna fall apart. So it's common sense. It's just how it's got to be.
Exactly. And I want to do a quick little plug here for the Hammer Daily. Every single Friday, I'm going to be combing through the 1 o'clock slate, the 4 o'clock slate, the night game on Sunday, and also the Saturday slate of college football games. I want to try and find the people the best time to hang out with their partner. Find a slot when there's not a lot of marquee games on. Find a slot where it's like maybe a little bit easier to step away from the TV for 3 hours. Either maybe get brunch or maybe go get dinner or maybe go for a nice 3-hour walk with the wife or the kids or the partner, whoever it is. So if you want to check out the Hammer Daily, you can find it in the link description over on the Hammer HQ YouTube channel or on Twitter at the Hammer HQ. You'll find us there. Subscribe. I got you guys covered. Flup, you have a wife, you have a partner. How do you manage this conundrum here?
I give up Tuesday and Wednesday night football for them, and then occasionally Friday night football. But this is kind of true. I for me, it's usually like Saturday. I'll give up a little bit because I prefer NFL more. But another pro tip is getting a dog, because then they're now obsessed with the dog and not you. That is great for me. So they can take the dog on walks and everything like that. So that's how I've kind of managed it. But unfortunately, I think if in a few years from now, if I get kids or whatnot, I'll need to change my strategy a little bit.
Yeah, you're still young, Flup. You got a little bit more time for that. The dog's going to cover you for a long while. Knish, no, I don't know if you have a girlfriend or not. I feel like we haven't really talked about this, but how do you manage with responsibilities and college football, and heck, even a halftime show? You got to work for Saturdays. What's going on?
Well, that's why you don't see any ring on this finger any kids in this house, because honestly, for a long time, and I did have when I was in the grind of the all grinds, really getting going, starting to make money, I did have a relationship fall apart, because I was on, like, I would work all day, come home and run, like, do the whatever I could move around casinos, and then spend the rest of the night in the laptop, and we never saw each other. We drifted apart, and that was it. And I still have to remind myself of getting some balance in life, just for my own sanity, which is questionable at times, to give it. So I will say, though, if you're, like, as China's saying, married with kids, I think it adds even another layer. If you're, like, really getting going, my counter to what Sharp Clark said is, like, if you're really trying to come up, or you're in your 20s, or you're kind of like Fluff, trying to really, like, go global, that's not necessarily an option all the time, depending on how successful you want to be in betting. If it's just football, like if you're just like a football fan, you want to pick one, the other day I got to spend with the family, I get it. If you want to actually, like, come up in betting and start getting there and scaling and stuff, sometimes those are sacrifices you just got to make.
Yeah, that's a great point there. Great point. Let's move on to the comment read. Got one from last episode. And for those who missed last episode, it was Isaac on the show. And Mark Horn, 8451, said, "Great show, guys. I'm sure he's great, but how did the Capri Sun drinking B-boy get to be the spokesperson for responsible gambling?" Chris, I know you and Isaac are friends. Any thoughts on him being a Capri Sun drinking B-boy?
I like to rag on Isaac a lot, but he's actually a great person, and he's very good for this. He takes this very seriously. He might not display some of the same things that he holds true, but that's because he doesn't have a problem himself. And I know he takes his job very seriously. So I think it's well-deserved.
Also, I don't think any of us would have picked up the Capri Sun thing if he didn't mention it. Like, I mean,
Yes.
he didn't specifically, like, I'll be like, "Guys, did you see me drinking Capri Sun?" I don't know. I'm not paying attention. I wasn't like looking at you just drinking a Capri Sun. So, but yeah, I agree. He does take this to a serious level, and I think is a good person to have, in that realm.
Yeah, and we have a great fourth chair today as well. China, any thoughts on the Capri Sun drinking B-boy, Isaac? Did you like his episode last week?
Well, the episode I thought was fantastic. Came across great, and yeah, I think these guys both nailed it. I don't have much to add there.
Fair enough. Well, I think you've been a great fourth guest today as well. Let's move on to the next comment section. Comment from the comment section. Joey K cooking today. It is so obvious when he prepares for the show. Nice job, guys. You guys are really good at talking. I'm not talking at the same time. Jacob does a great job conducting the flow. Well done. The show just keeps improving. Keep it up. I wonder if Miss Smith 0043 here says the show keeps improving, because I was doing the last 3 weeks before the last 2 weeks, and then we see a big ramp up and improvement there in terms of flow.
He says not Jason.
Slides. It's the little things there. Mrs. Smith, we love you, baby.
Yeah, Knish, were you prepared for this show? Is it it's a little earlier than normal? I
was going to say you got me a little earlier, and so you know what? I gave it as much time as I could, which is the 6 or 7 minutes before we got on recording to look at the stuff.
No different than any other week. All right, let's get into the last comment here. Another Joey K comment from Lala KCJ. Joey K's take that Jerry Jones is always ahead of the curb is a hot take I was not prepared for this morning. Defend yourself, Knish, because you were very wrong about Micah Parsons.
That came out of my mouth. It hit me like that wasn't really what I was going. I think there was a time in the the Cowboys' heyday where he was kind of in like an Al Davis disciple of was way ahead of the curve. In some of the stuff they did with the Cowboys back in like the 90s. And then, in the last 20 years or so, it's kind of fallen off the rocker. So Even though I'll still defend the deal to the death, I do like the whole Jerry Jones ahead of the curve.
Whoa, Knish, are you
fail.
backtracking on a take? Are you backing off? You're not. What is
Listen,
going on?
that maybe the old Jerry got it back together again. Hey, after 20 years of mediocrity, maybe he came back and said, "No, get this bum off the team. We'll take the first round pick."
When the Eagles lose and just like steamroll the Cowboys by like 30 today, maybe 20 only, you'll be sorry. You'll be realizing how wrong you were.
Oh man, you're scaring me right now, Flup, because those are my only two survivor entries. We can't let that go. China, go ahead. You're going to say something?
I was gonna say the only curve Jerry Jones is ahead of is the curve right where the train's coming around the track. And it's just, boom, that's about it.
Yeah, and the only other curve he's fallen off of is the age curve because it's he's old. This is a bad joke. Anyways, let's move on to the chopping block. Pretend like I didn't say that. What's up first on the chopping block? Silvert's favorite session. Oh, we got someone who doesn't know the rules. We always preach to read the house rules because that's super important when you're betting on sports. But what's almost even more important is knowing how the rules of the sport works, because we have big board bets here at SGP_Vic, one of the largest touts in the industry in terms of earning. I don't know how he still gets subscribers, but he does anyways. He says, make it make sense. 30 yards to 2 yards. And he is talking about, I believe it was Lenoris Sellers who I think he ended up covering this anyways, which kind of sucks. But anyways, Lenoris Sellers, who ran for 25 yards. And for those who don't know, Lenoris Sellers is a quarterback for, I believe it's South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina.
Ran for 30 yards. And then guess what? He got sacked and lost all those yards down to 2 yards. For those who don't know, if you don't watch college football, a sack counts for rushing yards in college football. And I'm like, DFS is just saying that's what happens when a QB gets sacked, Vic. I mean, that's pretty embarrassing to tell on yourself like that. Knish, you're our NCAA football guy here, along with China. But Knish, I'll let you go first on this one.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, what are you like? It's I mean, like in NFL world, the QB sacks don't come off the QB rushing total. In college, it does. So this is just one of those like make it make sense. Yeah, you're telling on yourself out loud there. Pretty rough scene for old Vic.
China, is this the most embarrassing thing that someone can do to himself if they're out here being a tout?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely embarrassing. I mean, it's the rule's the rule, and I wish it was like this in the NFL as well. Just add another element to the handicapping that you have to factor other stuff in. And when guys go over, sometimes, the last two drives, a couple of years ago, I had Caleb Williams get sacked by Utah for about 65 yards on the last two drives. We win the bet. And just for the record, we were on under Lenoris Sellers 58.5 last week here.
Wow. All right. That was a solid one for you. I think I was on the wrong side of that, but yeah. Flop, any opinion here on this?
Only that I was sad to watch my team, Virginia Tech, get slaughtered by South Carolina. R.I.P. R.I.P.
Virginia Tech. All right, let's move on to the next part of the chopping block here. We got Kirk Evans, and this one's going over my head, so I'm going to need you guys to fill in the context here. He said, bet New York Liberty -6 today. Sabrina questionable and thought she had a legitimate chance to play at tons of resistance all day. Was around -6.5. She got ruled out. Closed at -6. This bet was either good or bad or C results. He did a Twitter poll here. 36.4% voted for bad, 32.7% voted for good, and 30% of people are cowards and they just wanted to see the results. Who wants to lead here?
I want to lead because I was on the Valks and it was an outright winner and we shoved it right in Kirk's face. So it felt good. And hopefully, on Kirk's hammer, he can write a little bit more because the WNBA, the market isn't for him. So bad bet. You lost head-to-head versus Joey K and friends, and you lost badly.
Hey, that's going to be 2 weeks now where he's backtracking on a Friday for Kirk's hammer, as he did last week for the Micah Parsons trade.
He was probably calling this for knowing Kirk. He was probably calling the sportsbook to get it voided when Sabrina didn't play.
All right.
That's my strategy, not his.
Yeah, not his. He usually does the opposite. He was like, can I bet more? I feel bad for you guys. Anyways, China, you're up next. Any opinion on good, bad bet? indifferent?
Yeah, I think it's a good bet. I mean, anytime you think you have a beat on whether something's going to happen and maybe it's going to help you beat the closing line. I don't know how many points this Sabrina here is worth, but I
But you
mean,
don't think the resistance all day means that there were people maybe with more knowledge than you in terms of her status could have meant that?
yeah, I guess if you put in
No,
the
but
resistance, then
Knish, the key here is it was around 6.5 before she got rolled out and closes 6. Half a point is worth around 8 or 9 cents, and then you get the steam benefits. So if you bet 6 and it closes 6.5, you made a break even bet, but you also got the free roll of potentially being right. And knowing who Kirk is, he's very good at predicting injuries. I would gladly back.
Not that great, apparently.
I would gladly back someone like that, on a basically a break even bet that they might have some angle that, hey, Sabrina is going to get rolled in. Now the real question to me is, so I did vote this was a good bet too. If the real question to me is, if someone like myself, who's not an expert in the WNBA, or a random person were to bet this with the same logic, is that a good bet? I actually still think it's a good bet because the fact that it was 6.5 before the injury news came. So clearly it was not 100% that she was in or out because it moved off of the news. So you usually need to be directionally correct there. And as I said before, because it was 6.5 before, it's at worst a break-even bet. So it can't be bad. It's just a question to me is it break even or is it good? And I would say it's good. If you're thinking about this logically and taking it, you're probably going to be beating the market directionally at some degree. Now the question is how good this bet is up for debate.
All right, fair enough. Good point there. Knish, any rebuttal? Or are you happy with it?
I'm a results-orientated analysis guy. Valkyrie's outright.
All right, there we go. Valkyrie's outright. All right, we'll see the retraction on Kirk's hammer.
Knish, did you actually bet the Valks here?
No, legitimately, yeah, we did seriously bet the Valks.
Okay.
I didn't know any of this background story until seeing this tweet, but we did have the Valks.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, a couple more before we head out here. We got Seablez. Someone was tracking Seablez, and I don't think he realized it because he was tracked for 365 days from Pick'em Zone. 365 days of tracking Seablez. Net loss minus $105,000. Number one, he doesn't know how to track his own bets. See image 3. We'll go to that in a second. Number 2, he claims that a member in his Discord tracked him and he's up 47 units this year. He's off by at least 20 units. He lost 56 units from September 1st to December 31st. I will say that's not as bad as Steve Fezzik, who lost almost 60 units in that time frame. According to Computer Bob, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Non-investigative journalist here. I have no journalistic integrity. But also, if you see on the screen, there's a picture that says Seablez fraud, but allegedly this is not us claiming that he's a fraud. Here is the tracking numbers with the last calendar year, down 35 units on around 2,000 units risked, 1,000 picks, minus 1% ROI, 48% win rate. And then the last little bit here is how a little bit more in depth on how Seablez doesn't really understand how to track his bets. You can go check that out on Twitter if you're interested in that. Are you guys shocked at all by this number of down minus 1.64% ROI, 48% win rate, down 35 units? Or do you guys not really care about this whole Seablez situation? China, we'll start with you.
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, it's like I say all the time, 99.9% of touts don't win. And all they're doing is flipping coins and just paying juice. So the proof's in the pudding.
Comes down to almost exactly the juice there. I believe, Flup, you wanted to touch on this quickly.
Yeah, don't buy picks in general. Doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter how good they supposedly are. There's so much things that is worse for you. You got to pay extra vig, et cetera, et cetera. Not surprised at all to see Seablez down bad. It was obvious from the start.
All right, and let's close out the show with this one here from Patrick E. Vegas. With 4 days till the deadline, Circus Sports, Circus Survivor is beyond 14,000 entries as the NFL contest boom continues. I had a friend who was just there yesterday, flew into Vegas just to submit his entries. From Director of Sportsbook Operations at Jeffrey Benson, to me, it's pretty similar to the World Series of Poker and the boom it saw with the Chris Moneymaker effect. It's the world's largest football contest. Are we all... maybe we can all just give a nod to our heads. Are we all in Circus Survivor this year or Millions? Are you, Knish, are you in?
I am not.
Oh, you didn't join. Why, can I ask why not?
Because there's people.
There's killers like me in here, and he can't handle the heat.
Us too.
Who are combining entries with 30 to 60 participants, therefore negating the edge to anybody who's doing, single or a couple of entries. There's collusion in the contest that should not be allowed, and I hope they void those entries going forward.
Oh my God, you just can't handle the heat. Get out of the. I mean, this is ridiculous. You're scared.
Declined, and I hope those entries are not only voided but no refund issued. If Circa
I asked Jeff Benson, I said, "Is this okay?" He said, "Okay." I asked the tournament director, "Is it okay?" He said, "Yes." So put your complaints in where they belong, okay, Knish?
I've got an email into Derek Stevens.
All right, sounds good. China, you wanted to comment in on this because you also don't have an entry.
Yeah, I don't have an entry on this either. I was thinking about popping in a few, but I just never really had time to get down there while I was at Bet Bash, so I just never signed up. And Knish and I did try to put GRP in. He declined, I think, 3 or 4 entries from both of us on this. But one bone I do have to pick, which with this Circa Survivor, is I don't think it should be a winner take all. They should space it out and pay some places there, maybe a top 5 or something like that. What do you guys think?
What are you shaking your head at, Chris?
Well, you got 300 people all working together and mouths to feed to win. Then,
I can't. You guys are complaining.
Look, have winner take all.
Okay, for the people listening, this is all fake. China and Knish are both scared. They know that there's killers like me in there that have won this before, and they don't want to fight. That's the real reason. This complaints of breaking it up is because they're scared, and scared money doesn't make any money. That's the real reason.
Put your egg in one basket and watch the basket closely, right, Chris?
Yeah, and I think China, in all serious note, while breaking it up seems like it could work, the problem is I think the allure of this is you bet a little bit of money, like $1,000, you can save that for a few months and then go and pay one entry, and you have a chance to win a ton of money. That's what makes it. The Chris Moneymaker effect was part because he turned a $40 ticket into the 10K and then won it. He turned a little bit to a ton. That's the whole allure to it. So if they break it up and they make it, maybe like you win a capped at 500,000 like midway through or something like that, or they pay it like the top 10% or something like that, it's just gonna devalue the real allure, which is winning a lot of money with a little.
Yeah,
they can still pay out a ton of money even if they paid a top 5. I mean, the first prize is still going to be enormous. So I don't know. I feel like
last year there was 8 winners for what it's worth. I mean, last year there was
okay.
So like, and it's going to be very hard to make it 20 weeks as a solo winner. If I had to guess, the over/under number of winners is probably going to be like 9.5 or 11.5, something like that for this year. So there's going to be a bunch of winners. You'd have to pay like at week 17, but then the problem with that is you could like look. We saw last year, I think there was like 2 or 5% of the pool after 4 weeks left, and then like there was a kind of not a lot of got chopped for the next couple of weeks. Then it started getting chopped. So it's really hard to pay out subsets rather than a winner take all.
Yeah, I can see that as well. Any more from you, China or Knish?
Good.
I'm good.
It just sucks that we gave Chris the last word on that subject, this freaking guy. Anyways, that's about it from us here at Circle Back. Thank you again so much for tuning in. If you like the show, do us a favor, hit that like button. It goes a long way for us in the algorithm. If you want to get in on the conversation, do us a favor as well. Comment in the comment section down below. Maybe one of your comments will be brought up on screen. If it's glazing Knish, if it's hating on me, if it's saying Chris is right, if you like China's hair, then you tell us in the comment section down below. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you want to see more content coming your way, because now I believe starting weekly, we're going to be having, along with our Monday show and our Tuesday show and our Friday show, we'll also be putting out something midweek around Wednesday. So keep an eye out for that. Some new stuff coming out there, variety of stuff. And hopefully we can get you guys some interviews too that you've been asking for, circles off interviews that you've been asking for a long while now. Make sure you join us next week on Tuesday. The original crew, Kirk Evans, Rob, Jacob, and Jeff Feinberg will be there. And then that's about it for us. Thank you guys so much for joining in. We'll see you on Tuesday.